Good morning and happy Wednesday. Welcome to our Wednesday live chat. It has definitely been a few Wednesdays since I've been here with you. Just super busy, you guys. We've got so much going on inside of the Academy. We have a lot of state applications going out. We have Medicaid applications going out. We have all the policies and procedures that I required, all the documentation happening. So my focus has really been there with our owners, with our students, and also within our mentorship program. Several of you have been joining that and diving into all the content that we have in there as far as the recordings go, the replays of our group coaching sessions. And I've been answering your questions and helping direct you and to move you into those next steps that you need for your agency. So just really busy at the home care agency startup, but I did want to touch base with everybody and go over some things when it comes to that client intake process. So I get asked about this part a lot, and I get it. I get why I do. It's because this is like one of the very, very important, if not the most important pieces of your business that you've really got to master and feel confident in when you go out and do an intake, or when you're preparing to do an intake. Maybe you're just starting the process on the phone of getting that initial information and answering questions. But we've got to be super confident in that process. And I know you want to feel that way. You want to come off that way, right? So that your clients, their family, they feel comfortable, they feel confident in what you're offering. So I guess it's really all about confidence when we get down to it. And to create that confidence, we have to know our documents and we have to know our flow and our process. So this month, specifically within our group coaching that we have at the Academy, we're going to be going through every single document when it comes to that client intake folder and how to do this process. We're going to be like getting to know that inside and out. That's our main objectives this month for the Academy. But one thing I did want to share with you is something to be thinking about, something to be prepared for. That's part of building the confidence, is this preparation piece. So I did a little research, and various area agencies on aging, which is a great resource everywhere, they're in every state, they put out a document for future clients, for families, with questions to ask when they're looking for a home care agency. And I'll share this document with you, and I'm only going to cover a couple of these, but there's actually 20 questions that need to be gone through. And so I share this with you because they may ask you these when they're looking for an agency. So they may ask you about what insurance plans you accept, and you got to be ready for that. They may ask you, how long have you been in business? And you may just be starting out. Most of you here are. And so you may say, well, I just started my agency a few months ago. However, right, we always want to add something positive to that. I think I have to go. I'm sorry. I hear somebody calling me. I'll have to come back. All right, so I'm back. It's so interesting. Whether you work in a home office or you decide to have a more, what do I want to say, like a professional office, commercial office, there's always going to be interruptions, and some of them you just can't control. Like, it can just be somebody coming in who needs you that minute. It can be a client emergency. It can be UPS, right? And they need a signature or something like that. So there can always be interruptions, no matter where your office is. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to our conversation on being prepared and that leading to confidence when it comes to the intake process. All right. Okay. And here's Pearl, everybody. Pearl. She wants to join in. All right. All right. So we left off with the question they may ask is, how long has your agency been in business? And if you're just starting out, like many of you are, we're going to say, be completely honest. I just got my license in February and I'm just starting out. However, I have X amount of years in this field. However, I've done administration in this field, or I've always wanted to be in this field. My heart is in this field. However, you can positively spin that, because it's not a bad thing that you're just starting out, but they're going to be looking at that. If they ask you that question, how long have you been in business, and your reply is that you just started, they may feel a little uneasy about that. So we need to make them feel better about that with either your work history, your experience level. Also, you can say, we just started. However, that being said, we're fresh. We're ready to go, ready to serve. We're compliant. We just got licensed. All of our processes are up to date and meet that state requirement, that Medicare requirement, Medicaid requirement, all of that. And we are just maybe a little green, but yet we are energized and ready to serve. And we have also things in place that maybe old agencies who have been around for a long time don't have in place, like our hiring system, like our training program. You know, whatever it is that sets you apart from the other agencies in your area, you can use that to positively answer the question of how long has your agency been in business, okay? So something else that they might ask, they might ask you, what do you look for in job candidates for a caregiver position? What are you looking for? Like, who basically do you allow to get hired, right? And so be thinking of that. Be thinking of that when it comes to your actual hiring processes, and also how you would answer that. Because again, we want to make sure that our clients and the families are feeling comfortable with us. They may ask you if you're insured and bonded. They may ask you if your caregivers undergo background checks. And again, if you're licensed, if you're regulated, if you're certified, I'm sorry, Pearl. I'm so sorry that I'm here in my seat. Jeez Louise, she's this little, I think she's like 26 pounds, but I'm on the edge of my seat. How many can relate to that, right? If you're licensed, certified, all of that, then yes, we already know you're going to be doing background checks. If you're not, even still, background checks are going to be required. They're going to be part of what you're up to, what you're doing when you are hiring staff. But again, people need that reassurance. They need to know what steps you're taking to protect themselves, or if it's a family, their loved one, okay? Some other questions that I wanted to show you. So like this one, when you develop a plan of care for my loved one, will you consult with their doctor? Not always. And that's okay. That's just the answer. Not usually, not typically. No, it's not required by the state that we do that. Depending on what state you're in, you're either doing it as a qualified professional, that intake process, writing that plan of care, or you have an RN who's going out and doing that plan of care. In some of your states, there does need to be a physician's order. So if that's the case, then you would answer it that way. But for example, in my state, qualified professionals writing that plan of care. I don't have to consult with a doctor whatsoever. Do I have on my ROI, my release of information form, their doctor's name and phone number and them sign off on it? Absolutely. Because if I ever do need to call the doctor, if there's been changes with diagnosis or medication, if I have questions, if I'm observing things and maybe family's not that involved, but the doctor is that point person, then I am having conversation with them. But just, of course, you're going to just answer these. We always want to please people, right? Especially in a service industry, especially when it's our business and we're just starting out. So if they ask you a question to something that you think you know what they want to hear, like they may want to hear that I call the doctor and check in with the doctor, and that may be more reassurance for them. Well, yeah, it might be, but if it's not part of your practices and it's not required, then tell them that. And it just informs them and lets them know, like, oh, okay, then that's fine, right? Well, I'm going to give you one more here. If my loved one isn't satisfied with a particular caregiver, will you provide a different one? So this will require you, and so these are all such awesome questions. And like I said, I'm going to share this document with you because it gets you thinking beyond the client. It gets you thinking about, in that process, in that intake process, it gets you thinking about your caregivers too, in that process of fielding them, interviewing them. So what are you going to do if your client is not satisfied with your caregiver? Are you going to provide another one? So thinking about what your procedure will be for that and being able to just answer it confidently, quickly, and with reassurance is going to help you to obtain clients. They're going to want to set up that intake with you when you can be confident, efficient. You don't have to like hem and haw and like, well, I guess we could probably send another caregiver. I don't know if I'd actually have one. No, the answer is, if my loved one isn't satisfied, this is what my answer would be. All of our caregivers are hired based on one principle. Besides their qualifications, besides their training, etc., we hire them on this principle, and that is, I would not hire anybody that me, myself, would not allow in my home to take care of my loved one. All right? So I want to put your mind at ease that everybody that comes through the door, we don't just hire everybody. They have to not only be qualified, but we have to feel confident and comfortable with them as a person to send them out because they're representing our home care agency. Now, we totally understand that not everybody gets along, and we're not a matchmaking service. We are a home care agency. And so what we would really want to make sure of is that, yes, there is good rapport. Yes, there is comfortability when my caregiver is in your loved one's home. But we also want to really make sure that the skills are being met. That is the most important thing. If your loved one is requiring assistance with transfers, if they're requiring bathing, if they're living with dementia, and I have a caregiver who can match all of those pieces, then that is going to be what I'm looking at. Yes, personality is factored into that. But really, it's most important to me that they are matching what the care needs are so that those are taken care of, because that's truly why we are there. Now, if there's just a difference and a friction in personalities as time goes on, or even right out the gate, if it's like, whoa, this doesn't feel good, I can respect and understand that as well. And we absolutely will send another caregiver in. I cannot promise you that it will be quickly. I cannot promise you that they will be able to meet all the skill needs that the first caregiver had, but I can promise you that I will try my best and I will get there eventually. I will get there within 2 to 3 weeks and get that right caregiver. That's not to say your mom would go without care. I would still have somebody there for her, but it may not be the person that can meet all of those skill needs. So say I just took them through the whole journey of who we are, what we stand for, how we operate, right to like what that actually looks like. Instead of saying, if they ask you, if my loved one isn't satisfied, will you provide a different one? And I say, yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no, all good. Yep. That gives them a quick answer. It gives them what they want to hear. But then it also leaves them going, well, geez, how many caregivers does she have? And how many does she go through? And how often does she do this? There's so many layers to thinking with this. And so our job is to know what they're thinking, the client and the client's family, have these answers ready to go, right? And to really just dispel any sort of question that they have, offer the reassurance and confidence so that they can proceed. We want to help get them from, oh my gosh, what are we doing? This is scary. We're going to have home care services. What's this going to look like? Are they insured? Are they trained? Are they background checked? What if mom doesn't like them? We got to get them from that to, let's set up the intake. I'm going to come on out and do the intake, right? That's what we're trying to do. And part of that, you guys, is definitely being prepared. So I'm going to share this with you. This is from the Area Agency on Aging. 20 questions that they are telling people looking for home care to ask us, ask home care agency providers. Okay? So we're just going to jump ahead of that and be all prepared. All right. I hope you have an awesome